All right, let's go, man. Listen here, 72 more days. 72 more days to election. Mayhem Social Media Coalition continuing it. Day 5 of the important information that need to be passed on. Day 5 of the election information. We got the propositions on the California ballot that's coming up on the November 3rd, 2020 election. 72 more days. Today is Proposition 17. Mayhem Social Media Coalition would like to bring you Proposition 17 on behalf of information for the black people. Information for everybody, but information, importantly, to the black people that choose to go out there and vote. Proposition 17 we bring you to today is about voting again. Yesterday we brought you 16. Proposition 16, which is about affirmative, which is about parolees and probation people being able to vote. And then Proposition 17 is also a voting ballot. It's about minors being able to vote on the ballot. Here we go. This is the point. The Proposition 17 is talking about allowing people that are 17, basically I guess about 17 and a half, to vote in the general election. This is how it's worded. It says people that are 17 years old that will be 18 by the time the general election will be held. They want to allow those people to vote in primary elections and special elections. That's what Proposition 17 is talking about. So Proposition 17, 1-7. Proposition 17 is talking about giving 17-year-olds that will be 18 by the time that the general election, which is what November 3rd, 2020 is. November 3rd is the general election. They're saying 17-year-olds by the time that will be 18 by November 3rd or thereabout should be able to vote in other elections of that year. Let me tell you why they're saying this. During a general election year, when the president is voted upon, we have what's called a primary vote. Primary vote is what gets everybody, all the propositions, all the positions, the chairs, the offices, anything that's up for election, it has to go through the primary vote first. And with the primary, well, some things are constitutional, but the other things have to go through the primary vote. And with them going through the primary vote, Proposition 17 is saying that if a 17-year-old, during the time of the primaries, which is usually early, February, March, April, I believe. Let's check on it. If you know more information, please correct us. But we believe the primary votes are usually held February, March, April, May, thereabout, up until June, for every general election year, which is every 4 years. So they're saying that 17-year-olds that will be 18 by the time the general election is held should also be held in the primaries. What that does is allow them to vote on who becomes president, what propositions get put on the ballot, what legislations actually get submitted, and that forth. It's giving 17-year-olds basically the rights that everybody else has to vote in primaries and special elections. That's what it's saying. That's what Proposition 17. So if you want to vote yes on Proposition 17, you're voting yes and saying that a 17-year-old and some months comes primary time of any general election year should be given the right to vote. And if you're saying no, that which is it's constitutional at this point that 17-year-olds should not be allowed to vote. So if you're saying you want to vote no on Proposition 17, you're saying that 17-year-olds, anyone under the age of 18 should not be given the right to vote, period. If they're going to be 18 and during the general election, they still shouldn't be given the right to vote during the primaries. They should not only be given the right to vote after your 18th birthday and thereafter. That's what Proposition 17 is saying. So if you're saying no, you're saying only 18-year-olds and older should be allowed to vote. If you say yes on Proposition 17, you're saying that 17 and a quarter, 17 and a half year olds should be allowed to vote if they're going to be 18, legally 18 by the time that the primary and the elections, the general elections come around. The general elections are held in November. So you're saying if an 18-year-old is going to, if a 17-year-old is going to be 18 and during the general elections, they should be allowed to vote during the primary elections. There it is, Proposition 17. Maybe not so clear, maybe so. Understand what it is that you're voting about. Mayhem Social Media Coalition. Give you the right to be a human being by making sure your human rights are invoked. Vote. Go to work. Support your family. Support yourself. Love yourself. Understand yourself. Mayhem Social Media Coalition. Black speak, black thought, black action. This is a voting year. We got 72 days to the election. Proposition 17. Yes, if you think 17-year-olds should be allowed to vote. No, if you believe that the Constitution is correct and 18-year-old and older should only be allowed to vote. Thank you.